25. Gospel legends who became the worst drug addicts. What if I told you that behind the angelic voices and soul-stirring sermons, some of gospel music's most powerful legends were fighting demons of their own? They sang about redemption and deliverance, but offstage, many were trapped in a world of temptation, pain, and addiction. Fame brought them glory, but it also opened the door to their darkest battles. From church icons to chart-topping gospel stars, their rise to grace came with a dangerous fall from it. Brace yourself, because these are 25 gospel legends who became the worst drug addicts. 25. Bobby Jones. Bobby Jones built an empire in gospel music, turning Sunday mornings into a stage for faith and fame. His charm, energy, and perfection made him the face of gospel television. But behind the joyful praise was a man overwhelmed by pressure, loneliness, and whispers of addiction. Fame became his refuge and his prison, pulling him between purpose and pain. Over the years, Bobby learned to quiet the chaos, finding peace through reflection and faith. His story reminds everyone that even those who spread light can be swallowed by darkness if they don't face their inner battles. 24. Tamala Mann. Tamala Mann's voice carried hope to millions, yet her journey wasn't untouched by the storm of addiction surrounding her. Growing up and working in environments where drugs destroyed lives, she witnessed temptation up close, but refused to be consumed by it. Her strength came from faith, family, and a fierce will to rise above the noise. While others crumbled under fame's weight, Tamala turned every trial into testimony. She became proof that you can walk through fire and not smell like smoke. Her endurance showed that survival isn't just about talent, it's about unshakable belief in something greater. 23. Eddie James. Eddie James had a gift that could move hearts to tears. His songs lifted souls, but offstage he fought the chains of addiction. Drugs became a false comfort when the spotlight faded, numbing pain that success couldn't fix. For years he lived in a silent tug-of-war between faith and destruction. But redemption found him when he surrendered completely, trading his addictions for worship. He used his testimony to rescue others trapped in the same darkness. Eddie's fall and rise became one of gospel's most powerful turnarounds, proving that broken worship can still reach heaven when it comes from truth. 22. Reverend James Moore. Reverend James Moore was known for his thunderous voice and tear-filled sermons that could shake a room. But even as he preached healing, he battled private pain. Addiction to pills began as a way to numb physical and emotional exhaustion, but slowly became his shadow. The world saw a preacher filled with anointing, yet inside was a man crying for rest. His songs like "Endow Me" carried double meaning, a plea not just for strength to sing, but strength to survive. Reverend Moore's life showed how even the strongest vessels can crack when burdened with too much sorrow. 21. LaShun Pace. LaShun Pace's voice could fill a church with fire and hope. Every note she sang carried power, but behind that power was a woman crushed by heartbreak and loss. Fame brought applause, yet loneliness pushed her toward pain and destructive habits. Drugs became her silent escape from grief, especially after losing loved ones too soon. Still, LaShun kept singing, pouring her suffering into her songs. Even as her health faded, her spirit never stopped praising. Her journey from glory to struggle revealed how fragile the human heart can be, even when wrapped in divine talent. 20. Thomas Whitfield. Thomas Whitfield was a musical genius who shaped the modern gospel sound. Behind studio walls, he composed songs that carried heaven's touch, yet his own soul was breaking. Addiction crept into his creative world, turning passion into pressure. He hid it from the world, smiling through the pain while producing hits for others. Music became both his medicine and his poison. Those who worked with him saw brilliance few could match, but not the burden he carried. His untold suffering left a haunting beauty in his songs, forever echoing the pain and brilliance of a man who gave gospel its wings. 19. Tonics, Be Slayed. Tonics burst into gospel with fearless creativity and raw emotion. He defied traditions, breaking rules that others dared not touch. But behind his boldness lay confusion, identity struggles, and deep wounds. Fame mixed with controversy, and the emotional weight pushed him toward drugs as a way to silence the noise. Addiction dimmed his light for a time, but his artistry never disappeared. Through pain and self-discovery, he reinvented himself as Be Slayed, rising again with honesty and purpose. His story showed that rebellion isn't always about pride. It's sometimes a cry for healing, wrapped in courage. 18. Kirk Franklin. Kirk Franklin redefined gospel music with energy and truth. Yet, while millions saw a confident leader, few knew the darkness he faced inside. His addiction wasn't to drugs, but to destructive habits that controlled his life for years. He spoke openly about shame, brokenness, and the constant war within his spirit. His transparency shocked the gospel world, but also freed others to face their own struggles. Kirk turned his battle into a ministry, proving that faith isn't about perfection, but perseverance. His honesty transformed pain into purpose, showing that even leaders need saving sometimes. 17. Al Hobbs. Al Hobbs was one of gospel's most powerful figures, shaping the industry from behind the curtain. He promoted countless stars, built stages for others, and carried gospel into mainstream spaces. But success came with a heavy cost. The constant stress, sleepless nights, and pressure to deliver led him down the path of substance abuse. Hidden behind suits and meetings was a man slowly losing control. For years he lived a double life, celebrated by day, tormented by night. Before his passing, Al found redemption, turning his final days into testimony that no amount of power can heal what faith alone can. 16. Shirley Caesar. Shirley Caesar stood firm in a world where temptation lurked behind every spotlight. As others around her fell to addiction, she stayed grounded in faith, refusing to compromise her calling. Her strength came from discipline, prayer, and the lessons learned from watching so many fall. She was tested by the industry's dark side, but never allowed fame to consume her. Her journey wasn't without pain. She carried the burden of being a moral pillar in a world full of chaos. Shirley's story became an example that holiness doesn't mean perfection. It means standing tall when everything around you crumbles. 15. Rance Allen Ran. Allen brought funk and soul into gospel, creating a sound that broke barriers. His voice could shake walls, yet behind that energy lived quiet suffering. Years of performing and battling personal struggles wore him down. Rumors of addiction followed him, though he often masked the truth with laughter and song. The stage became his escape, the music his medicine. Despite the pain, Rance kept giving his all, leaving behind a legacy filled with both joy and sorrow. His passion burned so bright that even his private struggles couldn't dim the light he brought to gospel music. 14. Clara Ward. Clara Ward stood as one of gospel's earliest stars, her voice lifting churches into thunderous praise. Behind her commanding presence, though, was a woman haunted by exhaustion and pain. Endless tours, pressure from the spotlight, and a lifetime of responsibility pushed her toward pills and quiet dependency. The joy she gave others came at the cost of her own peace. Even as her body weakened, she performed with unmatched passion, masking her turmoil behind a smile. Clara's brilliance helped shape gospel's golden sound, but it also revealed how the same gift that blesses the world can slowly break the giver. 13. CeCe Winans. CeCe Winans grew up surrounded by music, fame, and temptation. As the world praised her angelic voice, she watched close friends and fellow singers fall into addiction's trap. The gospel industry may have celebrated her purity, but it wasn't without battles. Pressure, touring, and the world's constant spotlight tested her discipline. CeCe chose prayer over painkillers, faith over escape. She became a quiet symbol of endurance, showing that light could survive even in the darkest corners of the industry. Through strength and conviction, she became not only a voice of worship, but also a living testimony of staying clean in chaos. 12. B.B. Winans. B.B. Winans brought gospel to mainstream success alongside his sister, CeCe. Behind the fame, however, he faced moments of emptiness and inner conflict. The constant chase for perfection led him into unhealthy habits and emotional imbalance. Though his struggle wasn't always public, it shaped his understanding of pain and redemption. B.B. later spoke about finding peace through honesty and faith, proving that even the most celebrated artists can lose control before finding grace again. His music carried that transformation, raw, emotional, and full of lessons learned from falling and standing again. He turned personal weakness into power through faith. 11. Vanessa Bell Armstrong. Vanessa Bell Armstrong's voice could move mountains. But while the world saw power, behind the stage, she faced years of hidden pain. Fame, pressure, and heartbreak led her into the clutches of addiction, a secret she carried in silence. Drugs became her way to escape the chaos that success brought. Yet her faith refused to die. When she finally spoke out about her battle, fans saw a woman not destroyed, but reborn. Vanessa turned her fall into a message of deliverance, proving that redemption doesn't come from perfection. It comes from courage to face the truth and rise again. 10. Daryl Coley. Daryl Coley possessed one of the most powerful voices in gospel history. His vocal range could bring crowds to tears, yet offstage he struggled with addiction that nearly silenced him forever. The fame, the travel, and the expectations crushed his spirit until drugs filled the emptiness. For years he lived in quiet torment while still ministering through music. But faith found him again. Daryl overcame his addiction, returning to gospel with humility and power. His later songs carried the sound of a man who had been broken but not beaten, turning pain into praise and weakness into worship. 9. James Cleveland. James Cleveland built the foundation of modern gospel, his influence shaping generations. But behind his crown lay years of exhaustion, hidden addiction, and guilt. He poured himself into choirs and recordings, working endlessly to keep his empire alive while quietly battling personal demons. The man who brought hope to millions often faced hopelessness alone. His music became therapy, his stage a mask. Even as his health declined, he never stopped creating songs that lifted others higher. His story proved that even the most powerful voices can carry silent pain, hidden beneath melodies that sound like heaven but come from struggle. 8. Ray Charles. Ray Charles began in church pews, learning gospel rhythms that would later shape American music. His talent was unmatched, but fame exposed him to heroin, a darkness that followed him for decades. Addiction became both his companion and his curse, threatening to erase everything he built. Despite arrests, loss, and public humiliation, Ray found the strength to break free. His recovery didn't erase the scars, but it restored his purpose. Though his journey took him far from the church, the gospel never left his soul. Every note he played carried the sound of redemption born from unimaginable pain. 7. Mahalia Jackson. Mahalia. Jackson's voice became the heartbeat of gospel music. Her songs lifted spirits and gave hope during America's darkest times. Yet behind that glorious sound lived exhaustion, pain, and a quiet struggle with prescription pills to keep going. The endless tours, the pressure to be perfect, and the burden of carrying an entire genre on her shoulders wore her down. Still, she never stopped singing for the Lord, even when her body begged for rest. Mahalia's story was one of courage and cost, proof that even angels of faith can feel the heavy weight of the world's expectations. 6. Al Green. Al Green's journey moved from soulful sinner to devoted preacher. Before he found redemption, fame had swallowed him whole. Drugs, chaos, and violence surrounded his life, nearly ending his career and his sanity. But after a shocking incident that almost took his life, Al turned back to faith. He left behind the fast world of temptation and began preaching the gospel with the same passion he once sang about love. His transformation became one of music's greatest turnarounds, showing how grace can rebuild even the most shattered lives. Al Green's voice became both confession and celebration of deliverance. 5. Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye's story began in the church, where his father preached and music filled every wall. But as he entered fame, his spirit became trapped between heaven and temptation. Drugs became his escape from fear and depression, driving him deeper into darkness. His pain poured into masterpieces like "What's Going On?", songs born from inner turmoil. The same gospel spirit that taught him harmony became his cry for help. His final years were tragic, a man searching for peace that fame could never give. Marvin's brilliance and brokenness became inseparable, leaving behind art that spoke of both faith and failure. 4. Donnie McClurkin. Donnie McClurkin's voice became a global symbol of healing, but his road to peace was far from easy. Traumas from childhood and the pressures of fame left him emotionally shattered. While he never fell deep into substance abuse, his battle with depression and self-destructive thoughts mirrored the same pain addiction brings. Through prayer and honesty, he fought his way back to faith, inspiring millions to do the same. Donnie's life became a living sermon about resilience. His struggle didn't destroy his purpose, it refined it. Every song he sang carried the strength of a man who refused to stay broken. 3. Sam Cooke. Sam Cooke began as a church prodigy, his golden voice leading the soul stirrers before he crossed into pop fame. The shift brought money, women, and temptation that slowly pulled him away from his gospel roots. Drugs and wild nights became part of his lifestyle, dimming the light that once came from faith. His mysterious death at a young age shocked the world and left behind endless speculation. Yet even in his rebellion, Sam's voice still echoed with traces of the church that raised him. His story captured the dangerous mix of talent, temptation, and tragic consequence. 2. Aretha Franklin. Aretha Franklin, the Queen of Soul, learned to sing in her father's church, where gospel shaped her very soul. But behind the crown, she carried years of hidden sorrow, addiction, and emotional pain. Fame magnified her struggles, and the weight of expectations drove her toward alcohol and prescription pills. Yet even through chaos, she returned again and again to the gospel, her true home. Her songs weren't just performances, they were confessions. Each hymn she sang carried the story of a woman trying to find peace between God and the glitter of the world. Aretha's pain gave her voice its eternal power. 1. Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston began her journey in the church choir, a little girl with a voice that felt heaven sent. That same gift led her to global fame, but the spotlight's glare came with shadows. Drugs and toxic love entangled her life, slowly destroying the very voice that once inspired millions. She tried to return to her gospel roots, seeking salvation in the songs that first gave her joy, but the grip of addiction proved stronger than fame or faith. Her tragic fall remains one of music's most heartbreaking stories, a divine voice that touched heaven but couldn't escape earthly pain. It's heartbreaking to see how voices that once lifted millions fell silent under the weight of addiction. Some found their way back to faith and recovery, while others never escaped the storm. Their stories are a chilling reminder that even the most spiritual hearts can be haunted by human pain. So, which of these gospel legends' downfalls shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more untold stories the church doesn't want you to hear.